Mr. Ngcukaitobi, is it still the promised 45 minutes?
Yes, I've said maximum 45 minutes.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if that view is shared across the table. Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to consult. Hopefully the consultation will make things more crisp and clearer. Minister, could I just start with something that many people would be concerned with legitimately, which is really this, that you were in this department for 6 months, and many people will say that's too short to study a complex organization like SAPS and to take such radical decisions. How do you defend yourself against that accusation?
Well, firstly, it is to say that I wasn't minister for the first time. I wasn't minister in a big department. For the first time, I was from water. And I dealt with quite a number of complex issues there, including merging water boards and other matters. Huge amounts of money, resuscitating the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, which was quite a complex project. So, although 6 months, or 5 months to be precise, I quickly acclimatized myself and familiarized myself. And to testimony, as testimony to that, we took all the period, as I indicated in my statement, from the time we got appointed up to the end of the year, just orientation, although we then included discussions and decisions in the process. But it was quite an intensive kind of orientation.
Yes. And your statement says that you were particularly concerned about the rate of murders in South Africa. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how did you think South Africa should fight against murder in particular?
What I thought at the end, or in the course of time, we should do, in the main, we should work on specialized units, not only because they'd been conceptualized before I came and so on, but in my own assessment, I felt that you need specialized units who would then be able to focus on specialized fields, especially in the detection or in the detectives area. And when you do so, in other words, it amounted to saying the work that had been done up to then needs to be intensified. It needs to be strengthened. And when you do so, make sure that you build from home. In other words, you build this capacity in each province, especially in the light of priority number 3, which is building capacity of the state. It wouldn't mean going back to the days of Brixton, which was concentration of talent and every other thing, resources, only in Johannesburg. So when there's murder elsewhere, you then take people, they fly, they drive, and so on. Build it from home. Build it in each and every province. The concept that we have been discussing, that is in our statement, is key in doing this in South Africa. Of course, you will then say visible policing, ensuring prevention, and then investigation. Both are mandates of SAPS, core mandates of SAPS. You would be effective when you do it through specialized units. That, of course, you will build over time with focus and not break and build and break and break and then rely on task teams and all of that. Build these units. And to me, that's what I stand for. That is what I got convinced, and I stand by that even now, including then this new division that we spoke about, which will then enhance the combative capacity of SAPS.
Yes. Now, this vision of building specialized permanent units instead of temporary task team, Was that just your own view, or was this shared within the SAPS?
I found it in SAPS, having been shared, having been workshopped, having been implemented at different levels, both at national and provincial level, and there are documents to that effect. We've been discussing them. But when I saw the extent of matters and got worried about them, first I said, when we release stats in South Africa, I will say, even though there may be a decrease, but I would insist that it is at a high level, because it was a high level. If you have 27,000 people getting murdered in South Africa every year, and the other year there are 26,000, that's still high, even if it's decreased, but it's high. It's decreasing at a high level, and therefore that's the first
It's
thing.
decreasing at a low level. It can be decreasing at a high level.
It is decreasing still at a high level, and I could see that.
Yes. I mean, it's not decreasing fast enough.
Yes.
But can you just move on? You've also said this idea was also embedded within this SAPS. Is it correct that that view would be found, this idea of moving towards permanent specialized unit instead of ad hoc task teams, would be found in the following documents: the 2019 work study, dated the 26th of June 2019, the implementation letter, dated 14 November 2019, the Murray report, dated 6 March 2014, and the organizational structure of the SAPS of 2025 to 2029. Those four documents embed this idea of moving towards specialized units instead of temporary ad hoc task teams. Is that correct?
Except that the Murray report is 2024, not 2014.
No, 2024, 6 March
Yes.
2024.
Yes.
Did I say 2014?
Yes.
I apologize.
It's quite embedded
Yes.
in all those documents and in conversations. And I did say I had a conversation by chance with former Commissioner Stolle.
Yes.
And according to him, he was emphatic on specialized units and including cold case units. And he said, PKTT does cold cases in any case, by and large.
Yeah.
That was the conversation that we have. So it is embedded in documents, in workshops, in resolutions, in implementation efforts.
Yes. It's also shared by top management.
It's shared by top management, and we embraced it even when we reviewed the structure after we came, the structure that will be up to 2029.
Yes. Now let's introduce another concept. Can it coexist with a task team?
It basically, if all these specialized units are as effective as they should be, and there's no reason why we should not be able to do so if we are seriously implementing. The lack of implementation here and there is just lapses, human lapses in the department, not because there's something impossible. Now, having said so, I want to say that we believe in them, and in terms of coexisting, it's only when there is an overwhelming kind of development somewhere that the existing capacity there where this thing happens, that you would need a task team so that you reinforce in one way or the other what is there beyond the capacity of specialized teams and so on. But ordinarily, once you put an effort 2 years or so, you will be running with full capacity.
Thank you. Now, the other criticism is this. I'm not saying the commissioners are critical, don't misunderstand me, but I'm saying the criticism that has arisen from various quarters is the following. You did not give enough time for your idea, which is a good idea, to percolate within the organization, and you did not speak to enough people so that they can understand and adjust themselves. So even if you've got a good idea, which is I want a permanent structure, which is a specialized unit, and I want to dissolve a temporary structure. The way to do that also matters. You have to follow a certain process, give people time, give people notice. Can you just explain how you react to that criticism?
I would
They say that you announced it on the 31st, you expected it to be implemented there and then.
the letter of directives.
Yes.
Yes. I would say first, that letter, in terms of its spirit, it embraces whatever would be dictated to by reasonable time required for the implementation of the letter. In line with the administrative meaning of immediately. And even in terms of the letter, the drafting itself, it included a preliminary report at some other date, and then a UNESCO at some other date. That was indicative enough from where I sit that it would be a matter that I would be open to engagement and in terms of reasonability of time required as we engage in implementing the directive.
All right, I'll come back to that issue of being open to change. But just prior to the letter being issued on the 31st, your statement says there were 3 meetings. Meeting on the 1st of November, meeting on the 21st of November, meeting on the 22nd of November. As I understand, none of those meetings resolved on a dissolution per se.
No, none of them, none of them resolved or discussed dissolution and agreed on it. But what they did, they discussed tilting towards that in terms of review. I made a statement there, and the National Commissioner made a statement indicating the temporal nature of PKKT in no ambiguous terms. He was clear, and we were clear, and we were synergizing that.
Yes, thank you. Now, we'll come back then to the statement you made about being open to persuasion. When I study your letter of the 31st of December, I don't get there the language that even though I'm giving this directive, I'm still open to altering my mind. How do you explain that?
I explain that by saying that practical experience indicates that whenever an executive authority gives a directive in a meeting or in any other situation, there would be a response from officials. They would always express themselves in terms of feasibility, including time framing. They will always indicate what they would want to see as feasible, and they would you would comply because you are not the one who is implementing. So while there was nothing expressed in the letter to that effect of openness, but practice does point to that being the culture in government to do so. But then there were also those indications of meetings that I've alluded to, that they showed that there we would be engaging as it would be.
All right. So your point is that although you issued that letter in apparently peremptory terms, you were always open to persuasion if good reason was put forward.
Definitely.
Yes. Now, let's move on then. From the 31st of December 2024, what happened next in January 2025, which is?
Well, there are a number of things that happened. I would start from the 3rd
of January.
Of January.
What happened then?
The National Commissioner did instruct Litogo, Brigadier or Colonel Litogo, to write letters to deputy national commissioners to make them aware of the letter, the letter of the directive, and to inform them, which I took as operationalizing, as it were, the directive. And it later did become clear that that instruction was to say the Office of the National Commissioner must begin the process of operationalizing the directives. That's the third. Parallel to that.
If he didn't want to, let us assume the National Commissioner's view was this is outside of your power as the minister. You did not consult. The task team is a good thing. What should he have done?
Firstly, I would say that there is a guide called Guide to All DGs, including the National Commissioner, in terms of what to do when you receive an unlawful instruction. There is that guide, it exists, they are all familiar with. So he could have used that and made reference to that. But in practice, using that or even outside that, just from him as a person, he clearly would have responded to the very directive that I wrote to say, I received your directive of 31st December. I am responding. I feel this way and that way and that way. That didn't happen. Instead, as I put it, the third was operationalizing the directive.
Thank you. And then after the third?
On the third as well,
yes.
Apart from what was happening in the Office of the National Commissioner and his deputy national commissioners, I was in touch with the Chief of Staff, my Chief of Staff.
Who is the Chief of Staff?
Chief of Staff is Cedric Kabinde.
Thank you.
Now, he informed me on the third, he informed me on the fourth and on the fifth that, firstly, on the third, that he was interacting. He was in a conversation with General Mkhwanazi, the PC, that is Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal. And he made me aware in the course of time, because he phoned me more than once to say, I'm receiving calls from the Provincial Commissioner. And he said, Utuktel, he's angry with the letter.
Who's angry now?
He's a Provincial Commissioner, Mkhwanazi. He said he's angry, picking it up from their conversation. And I said, why is he angry? He says about PKKT disbandment, as per your letter. Your letter apparently leaked, and he picked it up and he phoned me, and we had a conversation more than once. But he was emphasizing the anger to him and saying, I think in one of the calls, I said to him, but why is he angry? Because I wrote the letter to the National Commissioner, not to the Provincial Commissioner. And he said, well, it doesn't pick it up or understand. To a point where, because of his emphasis on the anger of the Provincial Commissioner, I ended up saying, look, those statements coming out as they do, if it's true, you must consider recording the Provincial Commissioner for posterity. And he later informed me that, he has taken a decision that should another call come, he would record that, which he started doing, I think, on the 4th or on the 5th. Now, one of the things that he told me to illustrate the anger, he said, the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, as they were talking, said to him, if Minister doesn't withdraw this letter, there's going to be a fight back. Now, we did discuss what possibly could that mean. Well, he said, that illustrates the anger. That's how we concluded that he was so angry that he made that. And then later on, I think the 4th or the 5th, he also informed me that PC said, if the minister doesn't, because all the time he was phoning a certain Kabinde to say, have you spoken to the minister? Have you spoken to the minister? Have you met him? And he said, he also said, if the minister is clean, then he should proceed with the letter dating back from his days as premier, because we're going to investigate him if he doesn't withdraw this letter. That is, those are things that came from a certain cabinet.
Are you clean?
I'm clean.
Now, in January, we are now on the 5th of January. Anything else that happened in January 2025?
In January 2025, there are two things that happened.
Yes.
I think around the 20th, I met the National Commissioner and we had a chat verbally. We spoke a little about the leak of the letter of directives. And he said he's concerned about the leak and what then is in social media about it, our affairs leaking in the manner that it did. I shared the concern. And he said, well, look, in future, he believes that we must avoid letters of this nature. And I agreed with him. But it was based on the leak, not on the content and substance of the letter.
Yes. You said there were two things. We were talking now about the 20th of January.
Yes, the second was that I wouldn't be receiving the preliminary report. It was around that 20th. But the report is almost ready and all of that. He made a firm undertaking that in just a few days, which then happened, and the report was, in fact, he wanted to bring it on the 20th. And we were in Cape Town, and he was informed accordingly, and then he brought it on the 22nd.
Yes. But on both of those occasions, 20th of January, 22nd of January, he is still in total agreement with the decision.
Especially on the 22nd, because there it was not a letter, it was not a letter, it was a report, a preliminary report with a number of things, background of PKKT, objective, progress, achievements. There were quite a number, and indicating that there would need to be meetings with relevant stakeholders. It was quite an elaborate report.
All right. But he is still in agreement.
It was in agreement. There was nowhere where it was objecting in partially or in full. It was in agreement.
You told the chairperson of this commission that you spoke to the president on the 23rd of January, 2025.
Yes, correct.
Yes, to brief him about the dissolution.
Correct.
And he too did not countermand you. And he's your boss. He could have said, I want it back.
The date was either the 13th or the 23rd. And it's correct that I briefed the president, and it was not a presentation in a document. It was just a briefing that there's since been this development. And I would have loved that I would and should have briefed him before I took the resolution. But I just in passing indicated that, well, the task team was, although it was his initiative, but it was pitched at ministerial level, not a presidential task team, as it were. But I was saying that just in passing I was mitigating the fact that I had already done this, even though I had wanted to do it beforehand.
Yes, but the point is that you were transparent to him. If he wanted the task team, he could have told you, no, I don't agree with your decision.
Correct.
Especially because the task team came about in the first place upon his initiative.
Correct.
Yes. Now then, we move from the 23rd of January. You briefed Parliament on the 5th of March, together with the SAPS leadership.
Correct.
Yes. And even in that meeting in Parliament, all of the leaders of the SAPS agreed with your decision. Is that correct?
It is correct. The presentation was actually practically led by them. They made the presentation.
Yes. And no one among the members of Parliament objected to the dissolution.
In fact, if anything, they agreed with it.
Yes. And then There was subsequently a meeting after the 5th of March, which was on the 6th of March when you returned from Parliament.
Yes, correct.
Yes. Between who and who?
That meeting was in Cape Town in the provincial headquarters of SAPS. On my side, it was myself, deputy ministers and staff. And then on the side of the national commissioner, it was him and deputy minister and deputy national commissioners. I remember that there was deputy national commissioner Musikiti, deputy national commissioner Sbia, acting deputy national commissioner Ngcukaitobi.
Yes.
There could be one or two. Oh, there was Lieutenant Kumalo, Lieutenant General Kumalo, and Lieutenant General Senzo Mchunu.
Yes. And even in that meeting, no one in the SAPS objected.
No one objected.
Yes. Then there was a report on the 27th of March, 2025.
Correct.
And that was a progress report by General Masemula.
Correct.
Yes. And even that report was still consistent with the dissolution.
It was still consistent with the dissolution. A little hitch there was that whereas on the 6th of March we had agreed that no additional cases would be added on PKTT, there was now an additional case. We then said, well, that matter we have to discuss with the National Commissioner, and there was no cancellation of the decision that had been taken on the 6th. There was no reversal. It was merely to note what had happened, and they continued.
Yes. But I mean, throughout this period, I mean, we've referred now to 7 meetings, including a meeting with the President and the President with Parliament, a meeting with Parliament. It was always open for anyone who didn't like what you had done to say you must change course, and you would have changed course.
I definitely would have changed course.
Yes. Now, when is the first time then that there's an explicit public denunciation of the decision?
From the National Commission?
From anyone?
Well, as I indicated, firstly, that it was firstly from General
That's not
Mkhwanazi.
explicit because they are having a conversation and you're being told by your chief of staff.
Not directly, yes. The first one is the 6th of July, where I got it very clear that there is a view contrary to.
What happened on the 6th of July?
We saw a press briefing by Provincial Commissioner General Mkhwanazi making statements around the dissolution and other related aspects.
Yes. Now, the statement that he made, General Mkhwanazi, in that meeting, I've looked at it. Well, Ms. Lengane looked at it and told me what it says. But it says that you and Mr. Mokhotsi are receiving financial assistance from Mr. Matlala, who is an alleged criminal. Makes that explicit statement.
Correct.
I mean, is that true or false?
It's false.
Yes.
It's false. There is no money that I have ever received from Brown Mokhotsi, or he has received.
No, it's from Matlala, not from Mokhotsi.
Or from Matlala.
Yes. What General Mkhwanazi said is that you and Mr. Mokhotsi are receiving money from Mr. Matlala, who is an alleged criminal.
Oh, it's false.
Yes.
It's false.
Yes.
I'm not part of that. If Mr. Mokhotsi has ever received any money from Mr. Matlala, that would mean that it was him and him alone receiving whatever he would have received. Myself, I've never asked for any money from Mr. Matlala. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him on the phone. I've never asked for anything from him. I've never received anything from him.
Yes. And what he then sought to do, General Mkhwanazi, he sought to locate the dissolution of the PKTT in this context of a minister receiving money from a criminal, or an alleged criminal.
I believe that, yes, I'm aware of that.
Yes.
It's a narrative which I would say was choreographed somewhere, but it never found its way to reality. And there's no evidence that that is the case. Because I say, even if somehow they located to the incidents of the 6th where there was a raid in Matlala's home and all of that, I knew nothing about the raid, the intended raid. I never got any briefing that there was going to be a raid in Matlala's home and offices and so on. I never received any presentation or report after such a raid. And therefore, to link these two things and the dissolution and me and a person that I'd never met and the happenings in his home or whatever was totally false.
Yes. Now, not only did he say that in that press conference, even before this commission, at paragraph 187 of his statement, this is what General Mkhwana says. He says, Minister Mchunu, through his associate with Brown Mokhotsi and as corroborated by his chief of staff, Mr. Nkabinde, maintained associations that have confirmed links with the underworld. So he says, you have links with the underworld. And he did that to justify the criticism he had of the dissolution.
That statement is entirely false. One, I'm no associate to Brown Mokhotsi.
Forget about Brown Mokhotsi. Let's just talk about the links with the underworld. That is really the critical statement.
I have no links, and I have never had any link with the so-called underworld in whatever manner.
Yes. And the link that he draws between the dissolution of the task team and this connection, alleged connection with the underworld,
is false.
yes. Now,
It is false.
thank you very much. Now, you've explained what you are trying to achieve, and you've explained that it was widely accepted within the SAPS. There was the question of the comparison with the task team in the Eastern Cape responsible for combating taxi violence. And I was left not sure of if I fully understood your answer. Maybe you could just, for the last time, explain to the commissioners, what do you say about this comparison? Is it a fair comparison, an unfair comparison?
I would say it's a comparison that is fair at the level of principles. In other words, SAPS accepting the existence and the use of task teams, but it is qualified in terms of the work study and in terms of our vision and in terms of what has been adopted and so on, that generally, as a general rule, you will have specialized task team. But then there would be exceptions to that when the need arises, either because of a situation that is beyond such capacity in that particular area, and then you would have a task team. Or in the case of Eastern Cape, but which transpired later, that even the specialized team or the specialized units that we had there in the form of murder and robbery was not as effective as it would. But that was found or established later. But the principle was, the actual initiative was to say, we are seeing taxi violence and related violence growing and growing. Seemingly, the capacity that we have in the Eastern Cape is below what it would take to deal with what we're seeing. Hence, sending a number of people under Major General Zulu after the discussion with National Commissioner. So the difference is that a situation arose in the Eastern Cape around taxi violence. You then say, Major General Zulu must go there within this time frame with this budget at hand, and that is what they do. Then they found that they have to extend time. They extend time. They deal with this particular problem. The difference with between that and MPK, that is National Killings, Political Killings Task Team, is that it whereas it is the task team, but its length of period, which I'm saying is no longer in keeping with what it was established for in 2018, if you look at figures and if you look at incidents. And even if you look at the 22nd January report of the National Commissioner, even though it comes after I had issued the letter of the, but it confirms, because National Commissioner does say it has fulfilled the mandate for which it was established for. And it even says beyond any doubt, which means that even though I issued the directive, subsequently it was confirmed. Now, you are then saying you have PKKT coexisting with the specialized unit in whatever capacity, but it was not envisaged that you would have a coexistence of a national team coexisting with that particular capacity. That is not what was envisaged, which is now happening. Hence, and in any case, PKKT was never envisaged as a permanent. It was always, yes. Yes.
Unless you still want to add something?
No.
Okay, thank you. I just want to come to the topic of the powers, and it's an issue that the chairperson raised, that basically, as I understand the question that was asked, is it doesn't matter how a structure like the PKKT comes into existence. The power to dissolve it rests exclusively with the National Commissioner. Now, the reason I ask you this is because I'm not asking you to give a legal answer, but to give a practical answer, the start date and estimated end date, as well as dates for impact analysis on a quarterly basis.
Yes, that's what the statement says.
On a quarterly basis to measure the feasibility of continuation for such teams. So what is being referred to here? I personally cannot work it out what this sentence is about.
What I have since established in terms of, in an effort to clarify this, is that this, as I indicated earlier, it applies to provincial, or it applies to teams that are operating in the province, which, unlike what we did when we were talking with Commissioner Baloyi, it was a question of existence and operating.
Yeah, no, I think that's a different issue. That I'm going to come to that issue.
Okay.
You are talking about a different document. So this refers to a task team being established without an approval of the provincial commissioner. That's what I don't understand. Is this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What is this talking about?
No, it's talking about what they were doing, because they had decided that, look, let us stop the proliferation of loose teams, task teams that are not accountable, and so on. They then say, in order to control that, in order to minimize that,
yes,
no task teams be established without written and approved documentation from the provincial commissioner.
Yes.
It means that at a provincial level, the provincial commissioner must know what task team is being established elsewhere. Say in a district, it can't be established without the provincial commissioner signing and so on, indicating the start and estimated date as all. So it points to provincial task teams because it talks to provincial commissioner and all of it.
But it's about new task teams that will be established in the future.
That they must not, if they get established at all, it can't be without.
Yes. And then 8.10 also was the subject of some confusion. It says current task teams be subjected to an impact analysis by organizational development and strategic management in the province to ensure the feasibility of the existing teams. So what is this talking about? I mean, would this apply to the PKTT?
Now, that's what I was thinking that you were referring to earlier, and said earlier we got entangled in our conversation and got confused.
I understand, but is this about? Would this apply to the PKTT?
It would apply to the provinces to the province in the sense that it talks about current task teams.
Yes.
Now, among the teams that currently existed at the time of the analysis, the PKTT was one of those that were operational in the province. So it talks about current operating task teams. Just to,
I think you're talking about a different paragraph, which is 6.4.1. Yeah, I think you're talking about 6.4.5.1. I'm still going to go to that at page 191.
Yes.
But what I'm asking about 8.9 and 8.10, they both refer to the provincial commissioner or the organizational development and strategic management in the province.
In the province.
Now, on the first blush, it creates the impression that this is talking about provincial task teams.
Yes, it does.
I understand, but is that correct? That's what I'm trying to clarify.
What it refers to is it talks to all task teams existing in the province.
But okay, that's fine. But if you then go to 6.4.5.1 at page 191, which was also the subject, I think, of lack of clarity. Have you got that, page 191?
Yes.
No, I mean, I appreciate that you didn't write this and you were not even there at the time it was written. Where is Commissioner Marais at the moment? Is he still within the SAPS?
He's still within SAPS.
All right, well, maybe he can give an affidavit explaining what he was talking about. It says the task teams that are not monitored run rampant for years without determining or accounting for the gap left where the members were taken from, mostly at station level. Task teams found operating in the provinces are as follows. So that's what you wanted to explain. Just explain that, because the reason you have to explain is because the answer you gave to Commissioner Baloyi is not consistent with the answer in your statement at paragraph 41.
Yes.
And it's possible that it's too late in the day, that it's caused by confusion. And that's why it's necessary, because Commissioner Baloyi asked a specific question,
yes,
and then you gave an answer that differs from your statement.
Yes. The difference is operating in the province as follows. Operating. I think in that situation, what I missed was confusing existence and operating. So it says there, operating in the province, which would be inclusive of PKTT in this instance. And that is what, and so that bullet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from bottom would include PKTT because it's operating in the province.
Yes, I mean, the other confusion that came up from the answer you gave earlier was you sought to distinguish political matters team from the political killings task team, when your statement actually treats those two as the same thing.
Correct.
But which one is correct?
It's It's you mean murder and robbery? Or
No. If you look there from the bottom,
yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The phrasing there is political matters team.
Oh yes.
So when you were asked by Commissioner Baloyi,
Yes.
you said no. Political matters team is not the same thing as the political killings task team.
No,
But-
I should straighten that, because at that time I thought it would refer to things in case of KZL like 2011, like.
No, I don't need an
Yeah.
explanation.
It's
But
the same. It's the same.
Yes. So the two answers you gave to Commissioner Baloyi are wrong answers. This paragraph 6.4.51 includes the PKTT. That's number one.
It does. Yes.
And then number two, the phrase political matters team is the same as the PKTT.
It is the same.
Thank you
It
very
is the same.
Thank you.
Correct that. Yes.
Then there's also a problem with some of the evidence you gave on human rights abuses. When it comes to the human rights topic, I wasn't sure what you mean. Let me explain why. The one time you said you took into account human rights abuses flowing from the statements of Mary de Haas and Ms. Mashele. Then on the other, you said you did not take them into account in that context. Now, I couldn't understand what do you mean, because on the one side, those statements are mutually in conflict with one another, and they do not appear to be reconcilable. Can you just explain, this confusion away, because you're now going to leave the commissioners, and I don't want them to be left not knowing what you're saying. They may disagree, but they must at least know what you're saying.
We talked about this for quite some time. I did say, one, I became aware of whatever was either sent to me, in this case by Mary de Haas. I confirmed that I did receive, even though I didn't respond substantively.
No, that's not where the problem is. The problem is whether you took them into account in your decision making. And it's not about the weight that you gave them.
Yes, I took them into. A straightforward answer is that I did take them into consideration, not minding the weight that we ended up speaking about.
Yes, because your statement says that you did take them into account.
Yes.
Yes. Now, there was also something said about about Ms. Mashele. I want to just take you to page 359. Because the point that was made was that she doesn't talk about the PKTT. So if I can take you to starting at page 359. So if you recall the context to it, you were saying Ms. Mashele raised allegations of human rights violations by the PKTT on her Facebook post, which there was a debate, did you take them into account or not? But then the comment that came was that Ms. Mashele did not speak about violations of human rights by the PKTT, okay? Now, if you look at 359, the third paragraph, which starts with Khumalo. Can you read that?
Khumalo has been doing exactly what Richard Mdluli did. He captured crime intelligence by appointing friends and family in strategic positions. Two of his brothers are working at the political task team, victimizing and harassing hardworking members because of their brother in charge.
Because their brother are in charge.
Oh, their brother are in charge.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, to victimize and to harass people, is that a violation of human rights?
It is.
If you then go to page 368, which is another statement by Mashele, by Miss Mashele. Have you got that?
Yes, I've got
And
it.
it's dated the 14th of November, 2024.
Correct.
And what does it say?
It says, quote, how the political task team abused their powers and on instruction of Bekele arrested 2 forensic investigators who were investigating the corruption at Fort Hare University.
Yes, and then it continues.
Even the National Intervention Unit was part of the Hollywood-style arrest, and the forensic investigators still don't know why they were arrested.
Yes, and then the last paragraph.
The one that starts with the link.
This is the link, yes.
This is the link to a letter Professor Meriti Haas wrote to Parliament and the Minister regarding the resources that were misused to affect the arrest, to effect the arrest.
Now, that reference in the first paragraph to the political task team and Fort Hare University, what reference is that about?
That paragraph is in relation to the activities of the political killings task team in Fort Hare in investigating the alleged criminality.
Yes. And then your statement then specifically refers to the human rights abuses at Fort Hare.
Yes,
in
correct.
relation to the task team.
Correct.
Yes. And specifically references, is it Professor Berger or Miss Berger?
Miss Berger.
Yes. Now, at the time you wrote, you were relying on media reports of what she was saying. Is that correct?
Correct.
I mean, sorry, at the time you issued the instruction.
Correct.
Yes. But she has subsequently filed a statement under oath. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Which is annexed to your bundle as SM16.
Correct.
Yes. I mean, I don't want to make you to read this, but she actually makes a harrowing account of what happened to her in the hands of the PKTT at page 404, 405, 406.
Yes, I did make reference yesterday to that.
Yes. I mean, if you look at 405, what she says happened to her. She says, I was handcuffed and placed in a police jet with members of the PKTT, the National Intervention Unit, and my co-director, Conrad, who was foot shackled. We arrived in Bisho and observed several members of the police and PKTT taking videos and TikTok videos in front of the police jet while we waited, handcuffed and foot shackled on the runway for the fanfare to end. We drove in convoy to Mtanzane police station where Conrad would be kept on the basis that there was not enough space for both of us in East London, which is where I went instead. Paragraph 55. I went to the toilet to relieve myself and the toilet would not flush. Members of the NIU and PKTT took turns to lift the toilet seat and ridicule me. I sobbed as I had no reason for being there, arrested, detained, and humiliated. And then it goes on and on. I don't want to read all of them. The allegations get worse and worse. But what do you say as the minister responsible for police when you hear allegations like this?
Well, as I said, I'm very concerned, and I would always be very concerned because not only is it bad imaging South African police, but it actually is in contravention of a number of prescripts in terms of the conduct of police.
Yes. And in this section, the last category you mentioned is paragraph 73.8 of your statement. You don't need to go to it, but I just want to ask you, you said you wanted to talk to us so that we can advise you on how to handle those people who want to speak confidentially.
Yes.
Just give us a sense, because that was one of the questions that were asked by Commissioner Baloyi to say, look, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's very difficult to make sense of it because it's very cryptic and, just give us a sense of the broad nature of what these 8 people are saying.
The broad nature of what these people are alleging, they are pointing to activities, or let me say actions, of the National Political Killings Team that could be termed as unlawful in broad terms. Then they point to different.
But what do they say the task team is doing?
Well, it's various activities per person, and they could be construed. I wrote in one of the submissions when we were talking to our lawyers that they could be construed to some of the activities, to activities that defeat the ends of justice, and also criminal activities in nature. That is what I could briefly add on what you asked me to do.
No, that's fine. That's enough. But why do they not want to be known that they are making these allegations?
They, each one of them, when I met them, emphasized their personal safety and their fears on personal safety. Some of them actually got physically manhandled, as they allege in their statements at different points, by PKKT, as they allege. And therefore, they have first-hand experience of what happened to them. And some of them allege that they know how PKKTs, they know of certain practices within PKKT that could be construed in the manner that I construed earlier.
Yes, thank you. Now, I want to come, I think it was a question asked by Commissioner Khumalo, and which again, I think left a little bit of confusion, certainly in my mind. I want to just draw the comparison between SM18 and SM17. Here, I will depend on my junior because she has done this work. Yes. Now, I think the question that was asked is, what was lacking in Yes. So what was lacking in SM18 that you would find in SM17 for you to say SM18 was defective?
Yes, I'm now able to make a direct reference because Commissioner Baloyi was actually direct in finding synergy in both. But I did, and I remember, say that it's in terms of the extent of detail. If you look at page 428, just the purpose and background is quite elaborate, which if you look at, this is, what is this? If you look at 17, yes, purpose 1, background, that it's all in one page. But if you go to, is it the next page? 128 and 129, and you read, what is this? If you compare, I'm saying post 2022, they were elaborate, quite more, even though the purpose is found in both, background is found in both, but before 2021, 2022, they were quite elaborate. If you look at SM17, first page, second page, third page, and even the finances there, 2 pages, and all of that.
Yes, I mean, and on the finances, it's not just the pages, it's also the qualitative assessment of the information.
Yes, to say what for is not
the
global.
Breakdown of the costing.
It's not globalized.
Precisely.
I need some assistance for post 22. Post 22
Go to
assessments.
page 455.
455. Yes, that information note. If we look at the information note specifically on SM 18, page 455, the request for financial, it's upfront. That is your starting point. Request for financial authority for 24-25. And of course, in our conversation with Commissioner Kumalo, we did not necessarily refer to this one, but it is there. And that is what I had picked up and I was referring to. Right from page 1, request for financial authority. There's no assessment, there's no report, even on page 2. It's further request for financial authority, 23-24. And it's all just one page. Is it one page? 150, yes, 151, 152. So it's quite scanty. It just goes to finances, financial requests. This is what I wrote in the statement and I was referring to as a difference, and saying that it smacks of illegitimacy in terms of allocating funds without a proper motivation as it happened before 2021, 2022.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, there was a question towards the end by the evidence leader on the filling of post, that when you instructed a freeze in crime intelligence, you were exceeding your scope. Now, you may or may not have been mistaken in making that decision, but you are a politician. There are legal advisors inside. What steps did you take to make sure that you were acting within your authority?
I subjected, as I indicated, the whole of the draft letter of directives. And I sent the draft to Pikoli, who said he made comments.
Yes.
He made changes where he felt changes needed to be made, and as per the submission. And based on that, I did consult, and I got satisfied that I was within. But in my own view, sometimes the boundary between the two is narrow, but it was a directive. I believe that to be part of my directive because it was broad. It was not operational.
Yes. You know, what I observed when that debate was taking place is that as a Minister of Police, you operate both under the Public Service Act and under the SAPS Act. And under the Public Service Act, it is your job to employ people.
Even though yes, it is. It is, even though I don't,
You mean you don't feel like you employ people? People just get employed?
Yes.
All right, thank you. The last question is, Commissioner Baloyi helped us again by asking about the terms of reference. The term of reference that introduces you is item 4, which says that the Commission must investigate the role of any member of the National Executive responsible for the criminal justice system. That would be you.
Yes, correct.
Whether they were complicit, aided and abetted, or participated in the acts listed in paragraphs 1 to 3 above. Now, the acts in paragraph 1 to 3 above include whether criminal syndicates, including but not limited to drug cartels, have infiltrated or exerted undue influence over a number of government departments. So I want to ask you whether or not, as the member of the executive responsible for police, you were complicit in the infiltration of the SAPS by criminal syndicates.
Not at all.
Did you aid or abet the infiltration of criminal syndicates to the SAPS?
Not at all. Not at any point.
Did you participate in the infiltration of the SAPS by criminal syndicates?
Not at all.
Yes. There is something here that says or did so by omission. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe it means if there's something you should have done, but you didn't do, but you should have known that you should have done it. Can you think of anything of the sort? No such allegation has been made, but can you think on your own?
All I can recall are two things. At one point, National Commissioner and Lieutenant General Kuman briefed me that they were at an advanced stage with the investigation of Lieutenant General Sibia, and also at an advanced stage in terms of investigating Major General Khan. It was quite a confidential briefing, very short to that point. And I said, if they are involved in activities, in unlawful activities, you have my support. I was unequivocal. I said, you have my support. This was verbal, it was not on the phone. And if anything, if the minister becomes aware via a report like that, if you are complicit, I suppose, you would say not now, delay, you would say, but please, you would say, I was unequivocal. And I said, you have my support, go ahead. Not because they were asking for a go ahead, they were just briefing me, but I reinforced them by saying, go ahead. And therefore I deny very emphatically that I could have been found at any level, even before I became Minister of Police, to be complicit on a criminal activity at any stage.
There is another minister responsible for law and order, for police, that is referenced in your statement. The first one is at paragraph 194, Mr. Begitele's statement in Parliament that Mr. Matlala informed you of a meeting between Mr. Mokgotsi, Mr. Matlala, and me is a lie. What do you say about that?
I mean exactly what I said, because he said he held a meeting with Matlala at Beverly Hills. Yes. I'm not contesting that. And then he says, Mr. Matlala informed him that he had been in a meeting with me and together with Mkhozi. Now, whether he told him that or didn't tell him that, the lie is in the information that suggests that I ever had a meeting with Mr. Matlala, whether with Mr. Mkhozi or alone. Such an assertion is a lie. It never happened. And I know very well that it has never happened.
And then Mr. Begitele features again in a statement at paragraph 206, where you are now talking about cancelling a tender that was awarded to a company whose shareholder is Mr. Matlala. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Now, in paragraph 206...
Chair, I apologize, Mr. Ngcukaitobi, please, I beg your forgiveness. I have bit my tongue for a long time. And on particularly this point that Mr. Ngcukaitobi is, quote unquote, re-examining the witness. None of that evidence has been laid before this commission. The issues that he has spent a significant time speaking to are matters that are to be dealt in the second leg of the inquiry. So I struggle to understand, Chair, how the issues that he's engaged with can possibly even fall under the category of re-examination. Any reader of the transcript will see that none of the testimony in regard to that has been laid. Thank you, Chair. I request the Commissioner's guidance. Thank you.
Mr. Ngcukaitobi, I was given to understand that the evidence leaders and the minister's legal representatives had reached an agreement that what would be addressed at this stage would be the disbandment only. I do not quite see, unless you submit otherwise, how paragraph 206 relates to the disbandment.
Mr. Chairman, I will do what the Commission wishes, but it's impossible to separate disbandment from its reasons. The primary reason for the accusation that the disbandment was illegal was that it was motivated by an ulterior motive. It is grossly unfair that the minister is here. This is his first opportunity here, that he does not tell the Commission and the nation that he is innocent of corruption.
How long do you think
This
it's
is
still, you're
the
still
last
going
question.
to be?
No, this is the 206 is the last question.
Just. Mr. Tembe, sorry.
Ndiyabona sekulate kakhulu.
Mr. Ngcukaitobi, for two reasons, I will disallow the question. One,
Then I have no.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I promise you, you don't need to give any reason.
Any reason. Thank you.
If
thank
the
you,
order
thank
is to
you.
disallow it, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps on that point is the right place to start.
With what?
The point, Mr.
Yes.
Ngcukaitobi's last point, the re-examination issue.
Yes.
And just to highlight that, as the Chair pointed out, there was an agreement.
May I find out to what end you are addressing, seeing that I've already disallowed the question and Mr. Ngcukaitobi did not even
No, I'm
want
starting
my
at-
reasons for it.
I'm starting at the question and I'm making my way back.
Yeah.
Because his reference to paragraph 208 was not the start of having strayed way beyond re-examination, but it was the end. And I would like to put my point across. The moment Mr. Ngcukaitobi's re-examination went beyond the establishment and disestablishment of the PKTT, he went beyond the parameters of the agreement reached. The issues that he raised, there was references to Mr. Matala, the relationship with Mr. Matala, with Mr. Mokotsi, with the contract, I take it as a 360 million subs contract. All those matters appear from page 64 of the minister's statement under the heading allegations of improper motives. And that is precisely where the deal that we struck because of time pressures, we drew the line. Under that heading, it's allegations, alleged association with Mr. Musi Ketmatala, knowledge of the 6 December 2024 operation, knowledge or involvement in December 24 arrest of Mr. Katiso Molefe, the 360 million subtender, improper relationship with Mr. Brown Mokgotsi, Zamazama issues in Stillfont. It's a whole list of them, half of which Mr. Ngcukaitobi has touched on in re-examination, but none of which will be found in the transcript, in the evidence when it was led by Mr. Mchunu. I had to put that on record. And like I said, Chair, I bit my tongue. I resisted. I did not want to disrupt Mr. Ngcukaitobi's flow. And I must say, at some point, I was a tad desperate, hoping that the commissioners would come to my rescue. But so what has happened is a topsy-turvy process, permitting Minister Mchunu to be re-examined on evidence, firstly, that was not led. He's got those, his responses to those allegations in the statement. He has not been taken through them. He has not been confronted with any evidence that could be contradicting the position he assumes in his statement. None of that has happened. So now, on record and in public, he's had the opportunity to clear his name in circumstances where the evidence leaders have not fully articulated properly what the concerns about those issues are. It is exceptionally topsy-turvy, but it's all water under the bridge because it has happened. But I understood, and we prepared on the basis that at the second session of the inquiry, which will be in 2026, we pick up the engagement with Minister Mchunu precisely from the allegations of improper motives, and we engage with that. Chair, there is no resolution to my challenge, but it was necessary that I place it on record. Thank you.
Thank you for raising that. Perhaps you should have raised it much earlier, and we too should have stopped Mr. Ngcukaitobi much earlier. So we are all at fault.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I take it that was by way of comment. I would like to engage with some of the issues that Mr. Ngcukaitobi dealt with the minister. Yes, in re-examination.
Re-examination after re-examination.
Well, he calls it a re-examination. I'm entitled to test
the matters that you say ought not to have been raised.
No. The matters
those that properly fall under re-examination.
Yes.
Does that happen ordinarily?
We call it a re-examination. If you were to have cross-examined a witness put forward by the evidence leaders or the commission, the evidence leaders would have been entitled to re-examine on those issues. It's just that in this process, we call it a re-examination in circumstances where I led the witness. I didn't cross-examine the witness, but yet we call it a re-examination. So it's a misnomer in truth. And I suggest that we should not be hung up on words and titles.
May we take an adjournment, please?
Yes, Chair.